Hello. I usually don't do too many book reviews because a lot of people don't usually watch review videos unless they have read the book that you're reviewing or they're really interested in hearing more about that book. So this time around, I'm going to be reviewing Locke and Key, Welcome to Lovecraft, which is written by Joe Hill. And Joe Hill is Stephen King's son. His real name is Joseph Hillstrom King. And it is illustrated by Gabriel Rodriguez. Now, the premise of Locke and Key is this family, the Lockes, they live in San Francisco, and due to a traumatic event of their father, who is also a guidance counselor, getting murdered, they decide to move to their family house, which is called Key House, located in Lovecraft, Massachusetts. Now, the reason the house is called Key House is because there are multiple skeleton keys that open multiple doors throughout the house. Now, there are particular keys that do different things according to what type of key and what type of door. They all equate to doing supernatural things, and I don't want to spoil what the keys do, but I think it's an interesting element for the story, and it was enough to keep me wanting to find out more and to read more. I've only read a few things by Joe Hill, this being the third. The first thing I read by him was Heart-Shaped Box, which if you look at my videos, I have done a review of that. I loved that book. It was really good. And I would have to say that Joe Hill's strong points is his character development or his relationship between other characters. He's very strong at writing character relationships and their development. And I say this because the only other thing I read by him was a short story that was in 2 collections of zombie books, and that short story is mainly featured in his collection of short stories called 20th Century Ghosts, which I have not read as of yet. The illustrator, Gabriel Rodriguez, I really did not care for his illustrations. He kind of makes all of the characters look kind of short and stumpy looking. Like, I just really did not care for the illustration. It was satisfactory, I guess you could say. And one of the downsides to this book, being that it is originally a comic book series, and if you're not familiar with comic book series, they have to give you just enough of a story to keep you coming back for the next issue. Now, if I was reading this as a monthly, comic book, I don't think that I would want to continue reading it. I just feel like there wasn't enough backstory to really keep me interested, and that was one of the things that I found disappointing about the story, was that there was not enough of backstory. Yes, they did give you a little bit of a backstory explaining, about the keys, and they introduced a main villain in the book. I'm not going to go into details of, and the thing is, the villain is, you don't really know, you're not really sure what the main villain is. At first they introduce it as an echo, and then they try to insinuate that it is something else. But then it's just so confusing that you're not really sure what it is. They don't really explain it, and I think that's where the backstory really would have helped. Now, I don't know, is this explained further on in the other, is it in book 2? Is it in further issues of the comic? I'm not really sure. And that was one of the things that I found very disappointing, was that they didn't explain this villain, like what their relationship with the villain in the family was. Well, anyways, they do explain, why the dad was killed in the beginning, and it has something to do, you find out that it has something to do with the house and the main villain. So that was good, and that kept me interested. Now, there is a minor villain, the one that murders the father in the beginning of the story, and he plays somewhat of a a little bit of a key role, I guess, in the book. And I love the way that, now this is one of the pluses about the illustration. I love the way that Gabriel Rodriguez, like, illustrated the guy's face, because no matter how much of the story they give about this character, like, they're trying to say he's a really good and smart kid, but his parents just really, you know, didn't do good by him because they were just really trashy and people that went to jail all the time. But that he had a lot of potential, I guess. That he could have been like somebody who could have went to college and did well in school. But the way the illustrator had illustrated this kid's face, he just really made him look like a really super uber creep. And I don't know, was it just me that thought that by looking at his face in the comics, or if it was intentional? I just really thought he was really creepy. Look, this is the kid I'm talking about. And I couldn't, like, see him as being a good person. I don't know if it was the way he was drawn or just the fact that I knew he was a murderer, but I was really biased towards him, and I just thought he was just a creep, and I hated him. I could not feel any compassion for this character. But it is a good gateway book, I would say, if you're a fan of horror fiction and you've never really read any graphic novels or comic books. I would say that it is a good gateway book to introduce you to the graphic novel and comic book genre, and vice versa. If you're someone who reads comic books or graphic novels, but you haven't really read any horror fiction, this is also a good gateway book to get you to read some more of Joe Hill's books. So that is my review of Locke and Key. I was really hesitant to do this review. I thought about doing the review a couple days ago, and I was like, I don't know if I can really review this book without giving away too much. I don't want to spoil it. I'll have to admit, I'm not the best at doing, like, certain things in videos. I do tend to fuck up a lot. But I was just afraid I would give away too much. I didn't want to spoil the book. But I did have someone request and say, hey, I'd like to see a review of that book, so I figured I would try to do a good review of this book. Later on, I'm going to film another review of another graphic novel I just recently read, and that is Ex Machina, if you would like to check out that one as well. That was another very, very good graphic novel. I think I like that one more than I like this one. But that is it for now. If you would like to check out that other review of the heart-shaped box, it's in my videos. Or if you would like to check out my other review of the other graphic novel, feel free to do so. Thanks for watching, and until next time, later, guys.